The order. Like 7:33. Good. Okay, let's have a roll call. I know we're gonna be a little short tonight. Mark Blackmer's gonna be here late, so we'll let Joseph start.
Joseph at 11.
Sid Blodgett,
David Morse,
Aaron Fargo,
Joe Palulik,
John Day,
John will designate as the alternative. And we'll go to the pledge of allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here and from all the work that was done to make these meetings quick and efficient. Do we have any citizens' comments? Do you have anything that we're not dealing with tonight? Seeing none, we'll move forward. We have some minutes from March 20th and April 3rd. In your packet.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 20th. Second.
Any discussion? You want to look at them, are we all set? Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? New business.
That was only for the March 30th. March
Although
20th.
I said both of them, okay, is that what's only for the March?
That was just for the one, yeah.
Okay, do we have,
I moved to approve the minutes for the April 3rd meeting.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? None. New business. Mr. Cotnoir, is there application for Nelson Park Road? Rose.
Forever. What we would like to do is to put up a 40 by 48 maintenance building. And we would design that using shipping containers. We're essentially copying the design of the building at the transfer station. Except that we will finish the front of the building, so it will be fully enclosed. It will have a full garage door. It will be painted, it will be aesthetically pleasing. And talk to Paul Page. Unlike the one at the transfer station, which is set on the asphalt pad, we will set the building on cement piers with a full frost wall in the front by the door, so it will be a permanent design. It will most likely be wood frame construction for the roof with asphalt shingle, although we are looking at an altered design that's all steel. And depending on where those come in price wise, we pick the best of those two.
Oh, that is the driving.
That's where it's located. So right now we have a container at the driving range. It's been there for, I think, 12 years. And so that we will use that as part of the building, but it will be repainted. Everything will be painted to look very nice. So that square. This is where the container is today.
Yeah.
This is where the new building will go. And the lines you see there, when we do this, we're looking to extend the parking lot on that side of the road. We're concerned about safety right now because people use the golf course parking on the opposite side of Rosa Park Road. We'd like to close that off and have all the parking here so that they're entering on Arvidsson Road and only walking across Arvidsson Road. So no more car traffic crossing the road.
Will the building be shielded? I see some trees there. Will it partially shielded or are those being cut down?
We'll probably clean that out and we'll put up a new row of trees along Sally Salt property. More deck front, arborvitaes to shield the property.
And how about from,
We'll put some decorative trees. We haven't determined that yet. We're working with a gentleman by the name of Jerry Guthrie, landscape architect out of New Hampshire. Our plan here is to make this, the whole park, as you see it today, now I'll probably go a little beyond just this. But our plan is to make the whole park buildings, so that when people drive down Roseland Park Road and they see that park, they're just stunned at how nice it looks. So we have plans to work with the Little League to repaint all of their buildings, common colors. Everything in the park will be repainted. The rusty metal roofs will disappear. The clubhouse at the golf course will be re-sided. Some of that siding is not in good shape. It was milled from lumber on the property. It wasn't sealed properly beforehand, so that'll be replaced. So the aesthetic appearance of this building and the clubhouse will be made to match.
Mark, the proposed building, septic system, running water, exterior lighting, that stuff.
They will have electricity. We may run water from the current irrigation system, but we're not running a separate well and no septic. This is strictly a maintenance building, storage and maintenance only. Electric could be most of it.
So both the interior and exterior lighting.
Yes, correct.
excited?
There'll be a Roseland Park sign on the building. And there'll be a new sign. Right now, if you could drive by, you see the driving range sign is broken.
Yeah.
We're in the process of having a new sign made for that.
And you're aware of the sign requirement? Or the,
An additional sign permit for that,
for the building,
sorry,
for the building, this proposed building.
Yeah.
A sign, they're looking to put a sign on it, it's,
we didn't really get that deep
Yeah,
into it,
no.
but, if.
Yeah.
A sign is a part of it, we have a sign permit.
Right, we'll go through the process.
Yeah, just do it all at once. You don't have to.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be redoing the signage for all the parks. We probably should do that sooner than later. So where the new entrance is, will be a new sign for the main entrance. We'll direct from the old entrance and Little League entrance traffic to go to the main entrance, so we'll have to do all of that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think you do it with one permit. You
Okay,
don't have to keep coming back and.
all right.
For the whole Roseland.
For the whole
Yeah.
property, right? Okay.
So you wanted to move your parking across to the same property where the shed is going?
Yeah, so they're already parking there. We want to extend that parking a little bit and not use the parking on the other side of the road except for overflow situations. We have some elderly golfers and they're not moving real fast on that road. We're a little concerned about them sometimes. It'll be a gravel parking lot, but we'll have the whole thing resurfaced. Pinecroft has given us a quote to do that.
I think that should be part of this.
application.
permit. If you do look at expansion of parking is considered expansion of use. You have a grandfathered use, so that's not the problem, but I think it should be documented for the
Okay.
future.
Yeah, we thought that would be a separate permit. Now we do it with the building.
If you wanna come back, you can. We haven't seen where the parking is going, so I guess it would make sense if you drew scales, so we know where on the lot,
Okay,
how it's gonna be expanded.
Right.
If there's any drainage concerns, we'll have to look at that.
okay.
Julia, I think it is showing that
Yeah, that's
lower area says parking expansion. So
Right.
continuing the whole way along. Yeah. Roseland Park Road there. Showing.
yeah, actually, Delia, from
This is gonna be the park it is today.
well, this is really the extended point.
I wasn't sure, and the yellow is in the white areas.
How big of a lot is that?
I don't have the number in front of me. The additional lot is, I think, about 25 by 60, maybe. If you can look on the GIS map, you could do it, but. I don't think I have.
What lot are you talking about, Joe? The parking lot?
The whole thing,
Oh,
the whole lot
property,
that this building's going on, as
Oh.
well as the. Tee off area.
Yeah, I think that parcel is about 6 acres. But it goes. So you have the salt and salt property, so the Rosa Park property goes up around it and then back down to the road on the other side. And there's a cornfield that actually abuts the condos, Woodstock Meadows, that's all part of Roseland Park property. So that agricultural land is used by Young's is farming it, but that belongs to Roseland Park as well.
According to the assessor's record, 101 acres.
The 101 acres deal, that's everything on that side of the golf course. That includes not just that side of Arborson, but the other side. The whole property, the whole Roseland Park property is actually 203 acres.
Usually the assessor's record doesn't have a. With the cross properties, we usually. Properties, that's what.
Driving range parking is 5.4 acres. The actual golf course is 40 acres. The park side is 60 acres. And there's another 98 acres of open land area that runs all the way up to the Bentley complex and out to Woodstock Meadows. And then further north along the lakeside that we don't use.
So this particular lot is like 5.5 acres.
Well, a lot less than that. It's probably, if I take out the, just guessing, I'm gonna say it's probably half of that. Not the lot, the driving range side.
The
parking
driving
lot.
range side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably about 2.5 acres.
And that's the side that the building's for.
Correct. So if you drive by now, you'll see there's a container out there.
Mhm.
Well, the new building will go a little bit to the right of that container. And that will get cleaned up, and that would be the parking.
All right.
Yeah,
And the main driveway for the parking will be off of Arborson
Arvidsson
Road.
Road. That way we won't have people walking across.
So you won't be coming off Roseland Park.
Right, and we won't have people taking the golf carts out to the parking lot and going across the road and one going across the other. road.
Right, very good.
The driving range is on the north side, obviously.
Right, yeah.
That's what I meant by it's a separate lot, because this one is on 7
Yeah,
here, and then that one's on.
yeah, this is what we're talking about. So this is what we're talking about. So the new building would begin here,
Right.
and the driving range sort of cuts like this.
Mhm.
And then there's actually a row of trees that come across here that separates that cornfield. And this is where Young's is important.
And that, lot O2A is, you have on your map as Salt and Salt.
Yeah, that's Sally Solomon. And just they have that little block that cuts in.
And then the opening to the proposed building faces south or faces the clubhouse?
It will face Rosen Park Road.
Oh, okay,
So we think that would be the most aesthetically
Park
pleasing
Road or
because you'll have the
face
front of the building with the door there.
So the door will be facing Roseland Park.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that way you don't really see the containers.
Yeah.
You see the front of them, everything will be painted and if we have to, we'll put siding on the containers to make sure they look really nice, because we really want this to.
Yeah.
We want people to be impressed when they go by.
Any estimate on the number of parking spaces, that's that big spot? Okay,
No, I can get that. We can figure that in. When we do the permit for the signs, building and parking lot, we'll get specifics on the size of the parking, number of spaces.
and just a quick question, this drawing says temporary, is that?
That was my wording because someone told me anything with a container was a temporary building. But since I've done research since that, I understand that these are now often used in permanent buildings. So this is gonna be a permanent building. Yeah. This will have a concrete floor, it'll be on cement piers, and permanent means it will last longer than I do. Which may not be that long.
Hopefully it's a long time.
Yeah.
So are there any, does the Northeast District Department of Health have any input on this, or does that have to go through them?
There's no well or septic on the property, but we have to. Does that property have a well or septic system?
There's a well and septic at the clubhouse, but not, that building will not, no. No.
You're not being a well or septic, you're not doing anything near a well or septic, you're not providing any potable water or anything like that.
You do say for
There's water there
the
from the irrigation system, so there's water on the driving range from the irrigation system,
which they may tap into, perhaps.
perhaps, yeah.
From across the street,
No, it's already there. It's pumped out of Roseland Park Lake. The golf course is irrigated out of the lake. And that's seasonal, so that's not all year. So we run that from probably May until late October.
So as far as I know. Well,
Okay.
unless you're putting it in the septic system.
Yeah, no plans to do that. We don't have the money.
Do you know if there's a process you're gonna have to go through with the, like a building inspector?
We just don't-
Yeah, I've talked to Paul Tage. We had a conversation the other day, so we'll get a permit, we'll pull an official permit. We'll most likely be using Walchesky Builders to put the building up. So all of our buildings are being done with local labor. We try to keep all the money here in town. And Pinecroft will be doing the parking lot. Pinecroft will also be putting a second coat of paving in the park, so in the next probably 3 weeks or so.
Okay, so they've met all year.
Yeah, he's brought here because this is a non-residential zoning application. I thought this was a little bit similar to what we saw recently with Billings on Woodstock Road.
Yeah.
And talked it out with Cameron a bit, and we kind of found that analog, and that's why we brought him in.
Okay, does anybody else have any more comments?
Move to approve the application. Presented.
You have a second? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh, great, congratulations.
Exactly.
Thank you, that's great. You guys are doing a great job. Very impressive.
We have, the other guys that want to hear all the plans, we'd be happy to share them with you, but there's a lot more down the road.
Okay, thank you. Good. You guys are doing great work. Glad it's being done. We noted the part of the firm. I think we need it. Now we'll go on to full business, the POCD updates. POCD committee meeting minutes. They, no, back. You want to update this on last POCD meeting, Joe? You there? Remember?
Yeah, Amy could probably do a better job than me since she headed it up. Again, we didn't get into anything real specific. The next meeting is when we're coming in with specific recommendations for the POCD from the various commissions that are represented. There's still a lot of talk about affordable housing, about the increase in conservation land, senior housing. Anything else, Amy, you can add?
No, we did remove the recommendations from the last POCD to discuss what had been tackled and what hadn't. And we reviewed some other land conservation and development table of contents sheet just to see if there were things in other towns that weren't included in Woodstock. So it's more of a brainstorming thing to make sure everybody understood what the document was supposed to do. And we're gonna start at the next meeting with specific topics, where we'll go in and say, for these two topics, we're gonna see what's in the plan of conservation development now. What else needs to be put in or we think should be included, and write that recommendation. So that it can be worked out.
When do you think you'll have that?
The next meeting is before our next meeting.
May 1st. Is the next meeting.
So that's our next meeting too.
Yeah, we meet. before the-
Immediately before.
Need the recommendation team so I can. Start incorporating them. So the commission didn't get the minutes from the subcommittee?
I have not seen it.
They're the same date as our P and Z meetings, maybe there was a meeting and a meeting of the commission from the people from within the packet, maybe there was miscommunication, maybe there was stuff.
Amy, are these, PLCD committee meeting minutes online?
Yeah, they're posted on.
Yeah.
Yep. If you go over the committees, they're posted online. Under the PCD committee.
I looked for my head. That could be me.
So it's not, I'm planning on zoning, if you go over, that's for the commissions, you go over to the part tab of committees, and that's the plan of conservation development committee, you go down there and you click that, and it's just the same setup, it'll be at the minutes, please.
Computer savviness. Okay, so then we go to the POC follow-ups with the inland wetlands and WCC.
Excuse me, Dave, can I
Yes.
just a sec? Yeah, Amy, are you involved in this, Woodstock Commission on Aging?
I'm not part of it, but I go to some of their
Okay.
meetings.
I just got an email about, a survey that's available. And there are 2 sessions, both on May 1st. One at 9 AM, the other at 5 PM.
Yeah, they have taken on, the AARP community survey, which it's a very extensive survey about community, so they can decide what the community needs for the aging population, but it's not just the aging population. A lot of the stuff in that survey is about infrastructure and like everyone should take it. It's a long survey, but it's very worthwhile and it's set up to be broken down by AARP, which is great, so that it, it breaks down the information. It's a survey that lots of other towns all over the country use, so it should be worth it. The official launch for it is May 1st. I don't know if the link has been posted yet. It's getting mailed to everyone. The short version is getting mailed to every Woodstock resident. And their long version is available online. So they're doing community sessions. It's a big push. It should help the town a lot to do this.
They're mailing it to everyone or just some of them?
It's every mailing address in Woodstock. It's the short form.
There is a link in this email, but I can't seem to get the service to open it. So it looks like it's active.
It takes some time to do that one. But it's permanent.
If you remember from the legal training, I printed up this sort of handout for all the commissions. There's one on conservation commission, so I sent it to the conservation commission and asked if they've done the activities that are, or tasks that are listed as things that the commission can do by statute. And I'm waiting to hear back from them, if they've done them or if they're planning on doing them. And if they're planning, when they might be done with them. And I responded to the questions and comments the wetland commission had, so I gave you their copy of my memo to them, and I'm gonna attend their next meeting. And look forward to hearing from them.
They've got their 3rd special meeting to discuss POCD updates scheduled for Tuesday, April 29th. All before try to get these comments in so they can contribute it to POCD committee meeting. They wanted to kind of go through Delia's questions and give direct answers to them. And, yeah, happy to have it. I think we booked room A on that day. So if you need, we can make it hybrid.
I'm hoping that I can be in person.
Okay.
Make sure it's childcare.
Yeah, well, it'll be in person. Generally, we do meet via Zoom with that commission, but we've been meeting in person. You'll see the updates.
Yeah, and that, April 29th meeting is at 6 o'clock. 6.
And I had started, just like with the summary of the other surveys, I have the report for the agricultural survey and the non-farm business survey. And I've started one for the boards and commission survey, but I haven't heard back from everybody. And I didn't realize that the email going out to them had gone out to them. So when I found out, I asked it to be sent out again, so I'm waiting for boards and commissions to get back to me. And when I get all of that, I'll be putting it all together, just like a report on the other surveys. And I've started drafting the document, but it'll take some time, but I'm doing the demographic stuff. I have to get the data from the ACS or census or health department or whatever.
So that's. Go through the, follow-ups with the inland wetlands, that's,
That's this memo.
Yeah.
So they had discussed it at 2 different meetings. And so I went through their minutes and then I had follow-up questions for them. And so I've sent it to them and I'm gonna go to their next meeting where they're gonna talk about my questions and follow up and then they're gonna give me their feedback.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of time on it. They're pretty close to contributing like full sections, if that's the approach that the committee goes with. Around water resources generally. It's one of, they felt that the previous or the current document didn't have enough really teeth in that direction. And that it's room to kind of bring water resources, paint full picture of our water resources and goals with that.
I'd like to add, I'd like to see a little bit more emphasis on stormwater management.
If you wanna bring some specific information or text, that'd be helpful.
Didn't the state just put out a new stormwater manual a
Yes.
couple years ago?
Yeah, there's one from 2004 that I helped to write, but they do have a
Update.
new one in 23.
So with that, is there gonna be more emphasis on stormwater regardless of what POCD recommends or not? Or-
I think it's really up to how the committee proceeds. The commission's interested in incorporating all the current recommendations.
Just wondering if they have to, like, is this DEP saying thou shalt do this, or are these like, yeah, if I get a chance, it'd be nice to.
Now, if you're not an MS4, which is
uh,
the larger populations, it's not mandatory. That's
and-
my understanding.
That's correct.
If you're MS4, which is the larger cities,
Right.
then it's mandatory.
So, I don't mean to get off the topic at all, but are portions of Woodstock in MS4 just due to the density, like around here, whole town's out, so it's
Yeah.
optional. So-
No, where, when I worked in Windsor Locks, they were part of MS4. There was for incorporation of low impact development and wetlands regulations. People couldn't have a footing drain, like language like that. I mean, we have large lot sizes, we have ample opportunity for our water to infiltrate. But I think the stormwater management should be a larger component of this as well.
No, from that memo.
Some commissions are notoriously slow to respond. As a whole and as a commission. They have business on their table, they kind of, they work with that, but kind of side project stuff. We kind of have to arm twist to.
so we're not, that's kind of hit on the POCD for us for now.
Yep.
Okay.
Another thing that might be emphasized in that, new, plan of conservation and development is the multifamily residential uses.
Yeah, that was that was on our agenda that we, I
Right,
think we told Deal that.
Yeah.
That we want to work on that. That's,
right.
I think, once we get through with this, then that's going to be one of our top priorities is to do work.
Okay,
with our
because there's
regulations
quite a
on
few
that.
restrictions in here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's basically impossible to
It's pretty difficult. Yeah.
do. So I think that we need to rework those, to make it feasible, not. No, I don't think what we have now is workable. So that was one of my goals. is to
Right,
meet
good.
those, and there's gonna be funny stuff for us to do, but that's one of the things that's on my agenda. So, do you have any home occupations? Budget tonight? Okay. Budget review and bills, I didn't see any. How they through their budget process, so. I've heard anything other than. Usual. Everybody wants more money than we have.
We did receive a bill from Design Professionals for part of their review. Came out and Villa subdivision. Dollars. Drafted an invoice for K&M Villa and sent that out in the mail today. So it's for people. Design Professionals.
So that brings us to ZEO report. Dan, you're on.
It's always interesting. Got bunch of permits on there. Single family homes are really kind of taking over the wetlands agenda. And these homes that you see here all had portions that had to go through that commission, except for Appleton Hill. That was a subdivision approved quite a while back. But most of these did have wetlands components, underground propane tank, full meadow, crystal ponds, crystal pond again. We've got a few vacant properties around our lakes. One is very popular right now on Child Road. Child Road is a scenic road. It's got some strong contours on these small lots. There's 3 in a row. They're about 1.5 acres. One has been developed, the northernmost, and we're getting inquiries on the 2 below that. It's like a cliff over there. So these homes, the northernmost that was developed, is placed close to the road. That probably required a variance. These other lots, if they're developed, would require variances if there's suitability for well and septic. There were approved building lots, so there must have been perks, and that was established that it could work. There'll be extreme grades on these driveways. So we've had to communicate a lot of the nuance of these particular lots, demonstrate on the GIS, people in office, the grade, that, you know, this is, you're interested in this lot. This is kind of some of the challenges you face. It's really, those 2 particular lots have taken up quite a bit of time, between the most novice first time buyer to real estate professionals, asking tough questions about them.
I had a question. You say they're approved building lots. Are they from the subdivision?
Yeah.
Why would they need a variance?
I don't know where the house, I haven't seen a subdivision plan. If the houses were approved at near the close to the road, then that, of course, when an application comes in.
The less than ideal sheet for plan.
Yeah, I've found that to be the case with another one on this list here.
They didn't have setbacks, you know, for we can zoning. So that could be the reason why.
So steep slopes, isn't there restriction on the degree of the slopes for steep? We have some building restriction on how steep
They
the
can
slope
put
can be. Yeah.
the subdivision, we're supposed to allow it to be built according to how it's in the subdivision.
How old is this, like, the approval? Doesn't it lapse after a while? I mean, I don't remember this.
If the subdivision doesn't have any public improvements, then it doesn't lapse. The
It
wetlands
doesn't.
permit has a deadline, but the subdivision itself doesn't have a deadline unless they have public improvements that are never put in. That's what happened with the Minshaft subdivision.
Yeah.
They didn't put their public improvements in,
There's no public improvements with these.
so it wouldn't expire.
I thought you said there was one that was developed already, or one built.
One of the lots has been built upon, but there's no shared,
Infrastructure built.
there's no infrastructure that's shared for the subdivision.
And by improvements, you mean that there's an existing road frontage?
Yeah.
So there's no
Yep.
road or common driveway?
They're off Child Road, the encroachment onto Child Road, would have to come before this commission. Cause it's a scenic road.
It's on the south side of the road?
This is, so Child Road is kind of north-south off it, when it comes off of 197. These are on Chamberlain Lake, and that's kind of a question I have for the commission,
Please send me the information, probably next week, maybe you can find the subdivision thing.
Thank you. The question I had for everybody on the collective knowledge here is Chamberlain Lake is privately owned by one of the lots, not one of these lots, but a butter to these lots, the whole of them. And a common question I'm getting that I don't really have an answer to and can't direct anybody towards is what are your water rights there? Can you build a dock? A lot of people have built docks. Can you ride a boat? Can you swim?
If the lakes are a certain size, I think DEP has a law that gives certain public access rights, but it depends on the size of the lake.
Okay,
Some towns require permits for the docks.
because those will have to go to another commission if they're, on the water. And if somebody else owns it. That's, I'll look into that deep regulation. Thank you. We had a bunch of inquiries about old variances that haven't come to fruition, properties changing hands or up for sale. Somebody's wondering what they found in the building street file, what they can do with it. There was some willy-nilly variances issued a long time ago, and this one in particular for a second single-family home to be placed on a property. And is it eligible for 2 accessory apartments if they ever built the second single-family home? According to our regulations, you're allowed 1 accessory home per single-family dwelling. So fortunately, there's 100 or so acres on this property. It's just not, yes. Hypothetical interest in those. But the site plan that was submitted for that, I think, wound up getting rejected by the Board of Health. And that second single family home has not yet been built. But until it's built and there's a CO for it, the variance still exists. So I've had to answer questions on that property and do quite a bit of research over there.
Is that near Crystal Lake? Is that one? This is what.
No, this is on Prospect, off of Prospect, almost near the town line. I think portions of the property, are on the state line.
Yeah. So.
West side of Prospect Street,
Yeah.
after Cooper's Farms.
So the variance is in place from years ago to build 2 houses on the one lot?
But didn't they already have one house, you wanted to build a second house, which was too large to be considered an apartment, finance like at the variance?
Yeah. And I think he was a lawyer himself.
Yeah.
Going, and
Join the
It was on the commission.
commission.
okay. Yeah, that one has been, come back to life. It's,
You may have to involve Rich Roberts if you get stuck.
yeah. Another, zombie permits coming back to life. So the state legislature, in response to the COVID economic crisis, extended the life of certain permits that were still, that had not yet expired as of a date in 2021 for an additional 14 years from their date of approval. So there's permits from like 2005, I'm sorry, 2015, 16, that are good till 2030. That somebody hadn't yet acted on, but somebody new owns the property now. They're wondering what they have, or they've been sitting on this for a long time. They still own the property and they're wondering if they can finally proceed now. I've heard of permits somewhere out there in the universe from 2008 that might have eligibility to be renewed from the last time the state expanded permit life. I haven't found those. Fortunately, in every case where this has come up, we do have the record still. Wasn't lost in records retention. But I think we're gonna see those from time to time.
Are those for single family houses or?
Some of it's for garages. There was one in particular, it might be contentious when they finally do break ground. Large field on Crystal Pond. Steve Gabriel had received a special permit for like a family compound.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He hasn't built it yet. He's getting all his ducks in a row to do that.
he would.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a wetlands permit associated with that. Yeah. So those kind of things are just kind of thrown out of the ground every now and then. Some interest in farm stands, home occupations. Today I had a lot of questions about a full-scale farm operation that probably will require a special permit. The kind of the amount of retail they were interested in. So I think they'll be coming back around. I suggested a preliminary discussion with the commission, probably after a pre-application meeting. Delia and Cameron to kind of arrange their ideas and figure out a permitting path. We had an interesting one where a neighbor lost, they just bought a property. The guy right behind him just bought a property. They used the same surveyor. And one guy lost half of his land that he had. And this is already a very undersized lot to begin with. Yeah, and the previous owner had been paying taxes on an additional 0.8 acres for 40 years. So it's been kind of messy. He's upset about it while they're trying to get to the bottom of this title, I guess. I didn't get that, but they just had I guess the double-sided coin of using the same surveyor, and they have the same title of insurance, and it's kind of a messy affair, I think.
Used to see that. Lots where the person's house or their well or whatever's on the other lot, and all kinds of things, problems over there.
So now that he's established his property boundaries, he's still really interested in needs a garage, and that's will probably require a variance. The ZBA has met sparingly this year, just only to discuss administrative matters, get their forms buttoned up, and get knowledgeable on their procedures and role. There's been a lot of training on that commission with new members, and this might be their first variance or request in probably over a calendar year. So
There's a chance that line really could go back the other way.
I know.
Did you say it was resolved though, or it's not, the lot line?
I mean, it's been surveyed. I think we're, like Delia said, it might get even messier if it moves back the other way after. If the title's researcher gets to the bottom of it.
Survey, maybe their research will be clear.
So that's coming down the road.
So they couldn't build a shed until this lot line issue is resolved, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't see it really going the other way. The deed that we could find for his property didn't identify that boundary line. I think our GIS or something extrapolated based on other available property lines. I don't know how it got to that. The previous owner was paying taxes on it for so long. It might shift back the other way. I can't wait to find out where this discrepancy is and what actual is. But right now it's kind of a murky one. I've got a couple of requests for bond releases, which I have scheduled to inspect next week. We haven't had time for a mow yet, so I'm gonna see what we get over there. Otherwise, it's not ready. Constructing the road a little further and then get a mower or two in before I come back and move the bond. Roseland Park was in with us and mentioned briefly bike club at the legal meeting with Rich Roberts on Child Road. Got a mansion. A woman invites her friends over to have this type of dog training event once a week. There's no admission. It's kind of like a Tupperware party in a sense, except it's outside, it's loud with dogs. I've reached out to Rich about specific questions to ask her. And she gave me 4 pages this morning. Delia had a brief read through it. I had a brief read through it. I want to kind of analyze it a little better and ask Rich Roberts some more questions.
She said that she was paying the trainer for training her dog. If it was more of an exchange where she got free training for her dog to let him run his business there, that would be different, I think. But she's saying that that's not happening. She's saying she's the person, and then these other customers show up, I guess, at the same place and time.
Yeah. So some of it looks like a social gathering. The state was out, Department of Agriculture, who has some jurisdiction in dog training facilities, was out and they felt everything was above board and that it was not a dog training facility.
Did they train the dogs to bite or not to bite?
To bite. Yeah.
The pack dogs.
Yeah, it's those
Or
certain police, military, security dogs. Apparently this is like the highest level of the iceberg. These dogs go through an amount of obedience training. To get to that point, it's not just a random dog off the street without that might be less predictable, I guess, in its behavior than some of how these dogs go through some sort of obedience trainings before they get to the bite situation. But essentially, the trainer has a leather arm or leather other part, and they rile the dog or crack a whip, and the dog attacks and releases on command.
So Dan, is this a one-time thing or is this an ongoing?
This happens every week.
And for how long? You talking weeks or months or a year or 2 years?
She bought the property for the space to do this on a regular basis.
That sounds like a good deal.
Doesn't sound like a social club.
No, it doesn't sound like a social thing.
Yeah,
Sounds like a dog.
Training.
but it is she has kennels but it's for her personal use. Now, a lot of this, there was a lot of back and forth in 2023 with Tyke, Mark Rouliard, their attorney, and the resident before they purchased the property to sort out these details. And she feels that John gave her blessing with this activity. I did see mention of a large amount of dogs. She wanted a private or kennel for her to keep her own dogs. Not a commercial kennel, but kennelized.
So how many dogs are given time?
She said, I think the number 5 was thrown around a lot, but she thinks she's got 5 dogs of her own.
So if it becomes a land use issue, what kind of issue is it? A non-residential permit, a special permit, zoning?
That's why I think you should ask Rich Roberts, because if another agency that regulates it is saying it's not a business, then it would be important.
Yeah.
But if
It's tough to
John-
say. It's depends on what in that 4-page letter might trigger something else.
John, some because the officer at the time, probably would matter to Rich if you could see what they were.
Yeah.
If you don't have them in your email, because if you had the same email, it should be in there, then maybe you can call him and maybe he can forward them to you.
I've searched Tyke's emails as much as I could with keywords. I mean, by her last name, by the property address, by the word dog, training.
It may not be under Tyke though, if he was employed by the town.
He was using the ZEO at Woodstock CT email
Yeah,
that we
okay.
still have. We can still look at.
Because if she can't provide them to you, I'm not sure that you take her word for it.
Sure. She said that in an email that he wanted to memorialize that discussion so that it was on record in the future, and I don't have that memorialization of that record, as she said in her letter. So, Delia suggested that we ask her if she can produce a copy of that. But it's tough to say. It's not really a home occupation. It's not a commercial training facility. We don't have a site plan approval. What's
You have
that?
a definition of commercial, it doesn't sound like it meets that.
No, and it doesn't meet that because this,
He's not getting paid.
she's not getting paid. Nobody else's dogs stay on the property besides her. So she's not boarding.
Well, like you say, it sounds like an interesting question for Rich to weigh in.
It might be a civil matter, just there's, the neighbor doesn't like with the barking dog of the other neighbor.
That's what initiated this complaint.
Yeah. It was
The neighbor
vehicle,
has horses.
the neighbor has horses that they're very close to the property line and they
Even
conduct.
with 100 acres,
What's that?
even with 100 acres.
There's 11 acres at this one.
Oh,
The 100 acres was the variance, that whole variance.
oh, sorry.
But there's conservation land also on the property. The Conservation Commission gave them blessing to install a fence, not the conservation area. So part of our letter creeps into, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. So trying to pick it apart to see what it might be eligible for, run my thoughts by Rich and see where it goes from there. But she was pleasant on the phone and in the letter, not aggressive. Oh, you guys can't do that. But she did, reference conversations and phone calls, taking, and there were at least a dozen in the email chain that I could find of emails and then referencing phone calls that, thanks for talking, you have 20 minutes, so I don't know what was talked about on the phone or memorialized in any kind of record, because I I can reach out to John, see if he remembers these things too.
Just rewinded a bit to your comment about stage review. But there's just like some slight disconnect between what the state determines as a facility for this sort of thing versus what the town considers a facility more related to land use. State might be looking at pet waste, fencing, building size, so slightly different parameters, which maybe they're okay with. It doesn't mean I think the town has to rubber stamp it.
I guess I agree, and I think part of what they're looking at is this are you a commercial operation? And part of what we'd be looking at is this commercial operation, and I don't think anybody besides, the trainers making money, and you can, invite a masseuse to your house to do, the massage. I called it a Tupperware party because I just see, all right, hey, they've got the guy there today. Let's go. You're invited.
Tupperware business person gets compensation for their Tupperware business, and then they go to someone else's house and park.
Yeah, it's like having a garage set up. We're preparing cars and inviting mechanics to come over.
Maybe.
I just-
I don't know if there's, the clearest analogy, because there's a bunch of, this is just a weird case.
Yeah.
So,
Example. Building, we have parking lot, we have bathrooms, and we have traffic. We're still gonna regulate that, we're
Sure.
still gonna review it just like we would in business with the same size parking lot and building, bathrooms and all the others. So. The fact that it's nonprofit is not entirely the whole story.
but that's all I really got on that. This email came this morning, so.
I'm interested what your review is when you get a chance to
Yeah,
look at that letter in more detail.
will case law come out of this?
You talked to Richard about it at all yet?
A little bit. He had some questions for me to ask, and so I sent an inquiry with those questions. Other things I could come up with, and he responded in detail, like quite a bit of detail. So we'll see what permitting there might be. And I think it could go any one of 4 ways. Special permit. There a home occupation element here, if it's a couple words. Is it a civil matter, or is it prohibited altogether? And I can't jump to that conclusion right away. Until we figured out if there's a permitting path. That's all I got for you tonight. If you guys have any questions, send me an email, give me a call.
Yeah. About following. Oh, I meant, yeah. Any more citizens' comments? Hearing none. Move on to communications. We have the legislative update that was in your packet.
Where did that come from? That legislative update, did you put it together the other night?
About who put it together.
Pretty interesting, or maybe Rick Roberts put it together from
3-pager.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who.
Julia sent it to me to be added, so I didn't know
I don't remember.
where Julia got it from. I think you said it was Rick Roberts that sent it. It's updates on discussions
Yeah.
from the legal train.
On the legal thing, yeah, some interesting stuff going on, at least the past.
So there's whole bunch of, updates from the training, questions that were asked that they went through, so you can all what you infected us, if you went to the, you did that training.
Video modules to that training were released today.
Oh, okay.
So if you attended that all-day Saturday training online, you should have gotten an email today, the links to the videos.
And these will be on there with those, because these all have links on them.
I think some of these are links to specific bills.
Yeah.
I can email everybody the actual links.
And then we'll have the links.
Yeah, so those are links, I think, to the individual information about each bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can send that out.
There's some big ones in here. I think elimination of open space requirements. And fee in lieu of, that funds good things here.
Yeah, and a lot of that. Surprised it's
The one that I saw that really caught my attention, was designated areas, or zoning districts. Where not less than 33% of the total land area is zoned for residential use. You can have commercial units allowed per lot as. But I mean, is that really a significant likelihood in that?
Yeah, I think it really could change, what area, what's 33% of town, where are you gonna put that? And then, right.
I'm also waiting to see what they're gonna say about the character housing. Because if it passes, there's 80% of the town's something to do with per capita income, to do a different kind of housing plan for the priority housing plan. There's more subject than the other housing plans. And then you don't just send it to the state, you send it and then they basically grade it. So I don't know how the student failed. But you have to wait until to see if it passes, and then you have to wait for the list that's supposed to be available June 1st of every year to find out whether you're in that list. But you don't, that requirement doesn't kick in until I think June 1st, 2026. But by then you'll know whether you're in the list that requires the priority affordable housing plan, which is different than a regular affordable housing plan.
And right now, we're in the non-exempt category when it comes to E-30G affordable housing. We kind of are hamstrung to approve an affordable housing proposal if it were to come our way. If we met a certain threshold, had a certain amount of stock of affordable housing, I could get us out of this non-exempt area. But then we have, as Dealey said, this is proposed to have a fair share metric, which could essentially keep us there until we have a stock of affordable housing.
I don't know if you've seen the newspaper, but there is an article that when you look at it online, there's an interactive map. And they give you the baseline and approach A and approach B. And depending on which way the law goes, they would have to actually choose one, that's my understanding. But when you read the article, it shows you if they chose one of those options, how many houses each town would be required to plan for. So it's, I think it's a little confusing. The law says you have to, I think it's create the opportunity for it or something. It doesn't say the town has to build them. But my question has been, if you create the regulation and that doesn't result in development of the houses and haven't therefore met your goal, what happens then? I don't know if the state then turns around and does something to make you build them. I haven't seen that yet, but.
well, Cheshire was all talking about that annual meeting, right? That Cheshire was really active in
Yeah.
trying to promote affordable housing, attracting developers, but whatever Cheshire's government was doing was not attractive enough, or maybe it was still too expensive. Treasure, but they seem to be trying to address this very aggressively.
Well, they were angry that the housing unit going in was not, they didn't think it was appropriate for the town. They were being forced to accept these.
And so, right, they wanted to try and have developers put it in reused buildings and do other
Yeah,
kinds of
they were
reuse.
angry in the way.
Yeah.
The laws, I mean, they were angry at the judge for enforcing the ruling with the way the law is written. So I mean, it's coming out of Hartford. Doesn't. Written for the city, it doesn't necessarily work here. No, they're trying to do a blanket approach. The work in the rural sections of the state.
Dealey, do you know, there's been consideration of affordable housing as a public infrastructure utility, like, that's not been part of the conversation.
But
Like, the siting council can force a project on a municipality. My fear is that that's just starting pointing at the map. Say, all right, this is where we built.
well, in the previous efforts, they've tried to say that every town has to allow 4 units per lot as of right. Well, per lot? Because some lots are 100 acres, some lots are half an acre. And also, you don't know that this village are gonna be able to accommodate 4 units.
This kind of top-down planning can get big ideas, but implemented on the local level.
Are
Might
you
not
okay?
work. No, not, the planners listserv.
Yeah. Does it- you need to- you know,
Okay, we got a letter from the siting council about the cell towers going in and who to contact, who have comments about that. That was sent to Jan and we got copy of. So
You have the full reports in the office. Wanna do it? I don't have a PDF yet, but I can request.
do they have links to access the application documents?
Okay.
This letter. Is this put on, is this gonna be on the website, the town website? This letter? That people can access it?
It's linked to your meeting, so if you go in, it's already on the website under this meeting, it's linked as one of the documents.
So if we get the PDFs of those big plans that we were sent and then put them in the same meeting, and somebody who wants to see it can access it.
Would you like to see it as a news item on our webpage, or?
Not really up to me, but
Maybe if you put it on the planning, under the planning and zoning.
Okay.
Like, so that people, that's where people tend to go. To look at that.
Yeah, I'll upload those to the planning and zoning page.
In the hearing, we didn't have a lot of pushback.
I remember the good old days when people would plug the meeting and they yell and scream about it. I said, reload your cell phones now, it's different.
We had landline. That, and then there's. Layer. Here it is. Okay, there is, you brought to my attention, is this, did everybody get a copy of this?
I emailed it so that you have the
Okay.
links.
Okay. So this is a link, for, big training for new commissioners, on April 26th, in person and virtual, there's in person,
I think they haven't set a definite thing that they received.
No, there was,
Anyway, if you haven't met your requirements for training, you can attend that training and it should help you meet your requirements. And I emailed it to you so that you have the link.
On the subject of training, some members are deficient in the number of hours. This is kind of an individual question of how much you need, because it's based on the term that you have, and everybody has a slightly different term here. So,
It's a 2-year window to get your, or is it last for the term next year? It's the changed it around a little.
I think you could. So, your terms are 4 years. That I'm reading here. And you could get all your training at the very end of your term, or at the very beginning of your term. And I don't think there is that you have to get it within the first 2 years of your term. Ideally, if you're coming onto a board, John's gotten his all out of the way. You get the training to kind of acclimate to the board procedures but for members that went to the all-day Saturday online webinar and Rich Roberts legal training, you're good to go. But based on where when your term started, when's the last time you took a training, you might be needing to take new training. Like if you came online or your term started at the end of 2023, a lot of people took a bunch of training in 2023, but your new term started in 2023. So you've got to really get your training hours in before 2027. But then your new term starts and you stay on. So there's a lot of, as Rich said, there's kind of like, it's an honor system. We're trying to figure this training approach out. But on an annual basis, we're supposed to be reporting about all of our land use commissions that are under this training obligation to the Board of Selectmen, who may eventually be asked to provide, details on the training of their commissions. So we keep a spreadsheet in the office, and we fill it with what we were told you guys have done. So you got to tell us if you're doing it. We'll put them into the spreadsheet. I try to, if we're at a live one, I try to take attendance and plug that into the spreadsheet. We haven't had one of those in a couple of years, like at the Putnam Town Hall. But if you feel like you haven't gotten close, or you're not sure when the last one you took, we can look at our spreadsheet to see where your term, how many you've got accomplished this term, and find a couple easy videos for you to watch.
UConn ones are.
How it going?
An
Yeah.
hour at a time.
the all-day Saturday one just issued certificates. Would you want those to show that we went to it or not?
I'd say keep it for yourself. But be happy to duplicate it. I wouldn't want to take your original.
I can emails just to keep it.
Okay. Yeah, forward that, any kind of, if you've got a brochure or a blurb for any of the types of trainings you find that you take, send it to me, and we'll add that to the list or share that with other members too. So if somebody's interested in a particular niche topic that there's a training for, there's 4 hours total that you need. One of them has to be around the subject of affordable housing. So the rest of the 3 hours can be on interesting things. Generally, land use training. The statute kind of lists what their intent is, what types of trainings are, they kind of wish you are taking, like site plans and commission, activity type of trainings. But the CLEAR website, like Dave mentioned, is the best resource for a lot of quick videos that'll get you through that mark. Really easy to pay.
Did you record all of us who were at the legal training last month?
Yeah.
Our hours in there, but
And that was a great attendance. I mean, you know, it'd been nice to have Doug and Dwight and, because we need to get them caught up. But generally, people are in good shape. And if you have a question, about where you're at, happy to help you get that, squared away.
You wanna do anything like a site plan reading? I don't know if Joe would like to do it, or I taught one before. That's a little hard to, I think, to learn on a video. And it's hard to watch a tiny little screen and see what someone's doing with the map, but. Or maybe have you do it, or Joe would like to do it?
Yeah, I was looking with Joe about maybe doing that.
Yeah, if we could use that one
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
villa.
Joe has a lot of experience reading site maps, and some people question, you know, about not understanding site maps, so. I asked Joe if he could just kind of pull one up on a screen, and people can ask questions and just walk through. I mean, I've looked at a lot of site maps over the year. I mean, I'm certainly not an engineer, but I can understand what's going on. I don't know technical details, but we could all learn something. So I thought, Joe has a lot of expertise in that area. And we'll just let him guide us through.
Yeah, I'd be glad to, as long as you have those still, that you can show up on the board. And show the ones that he initially did, as well as the finals.
Sure.
And it's hard to read them when you've got them, you know, on an 8x11. piece of
We do
paper.
have large scale,
Yeah, I know.
those still, so.
We can lay them out and people can vote and ask questions.
Not busy at the next regular meeting, we put her on then, so we can save the May first for the PZC.
Okay.
Would that work for you, Joe?
When's the next regular meeting?
Thursday of May.
Should be okay.
May 15th.
Yeah, that should be okay.
I had some questions about it, and so I asked Joe. That's where we are. Okay. I don't have any more communications. We're have an executive session scheduled. We need a motion to go into yeah, so a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.